Hey guys, it's time to start peas. It's the beginning of March. Usually I can plant them in mid-February here in my growing zone. However, we had some unexpected cold weather and the ground was actually frozen mid-February, a couple inches down. But now we're good. The days are getting nice and longer and bright and sunny and we're warming up. So I'm going to get out there and plant some of these seeds. See the ones I've chosen. I've got Sugar Snap. I've got Sugar Daddy. I've got Sugar Ann, which I like to grow a lot because it doesn't get very big at all and it's only 55 days. This is like an ideal pea plant for me because we will be getting hot really quickly. And just for a little bit of beauty, I've got a Sugar Magnolia. Is that the name of it? Just Magnolia Blossom. And I only have 3 seeds. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to reorder those. I love the color. It's beautiful, stunning plant, but it does get kind of tall. So I did pre-soak these guys. You can see that they're nice and plump. Actually, one of them looks like it's starting to crack a little bit. You can see. So that's great. We're going to get these in the ground while they're nice and plump and ready for germinating quickly. And our weather is ideal at this point. The soil is really warming up. And here is our secret ingredient for today. And I know you're thinking, why do you need some ground up cayenne pepper? I'll tell you why. Because I have squirrels who do not care about gardening or me eating anything from the garden. They love to dig and destroy every single container I have, every pot, every green stalk, every in-ground space. So we're going to plant our peas. We're going to cover them. And then we're also going to be generously shaking this everywhere except for where my dog would be able to get to it. And it works out because I don't plant peas where my dog can reach them because he adores peas. He will tear down these vines. He will just make a huge mess of any peas I try to grow where he can reach. So that means I will contain the peas to the raised bed area. So I have the perfect spot picked out on the trellis where Tonto cannot reach. I do have some garlic in the foreground there. That's a little bit of a problem. I'll talk about that again in a second. The Sugar Magnolia peas I'm going to put right here on this baker's rack so that it can grow up and look gorgeous. You can see I've got garlic coming up with my Brussels also. And the garlic coming up in this bed with the peas is not ideal. I do not grow alliums or onions or garlic with peas or beans. They can inhibit the growth. So I'm keeping the garlic in the foreground here. I'm going to plant a buffer crop in the middle between where the peas are going to be coming up, which they're going to be all the way at the very back side of that raised bed near the trellis so that they can grow up and grasp on and keep growing up. It is taking a chance to grow the garlic with the peas, but I'm hopeful that since there's a little bit of space between them, and I'm going to plant maybe radishes as a middle crop there in that space, that they will be okay. So I'm going to put Sugar Snap on the left side of the trellis, Sugar Daddy on the right. I did go ahead and fluff up the soil. I decided to put these about 2 inches apart, and I'm going to plant them about a half an inch up to an inch. I like to err on the side of planting up too high than putting that seed down low where it's going to have a harder time to reach the surface before it might get eaten by something in the ground and or start to rot. But there you go. You can see me. I'm just planting away about 2 inches apart, 1.5, 2 inches apart. I do suspect some of these are not going to make it because I've had a horrible time with voles in this area. So although I'm protecting these peas from the surface, there's not a lot of protection in ground for all of those tunneling pests or rodents. And so I'm just going to have to wing it and pray for the best. Here's a picture showing the placement, and then I push those down half inch-ish to an inch and then covered with soil. And I did water them in, but the very next day, well, I'll talk about that in a second too, because that did not work to my benefit. So now we are going to take on the squirrels. I am going to generously apply this ground cayenne pepper everywhere that I planted the peas. And I'm going to borrow those seedling tray inserts to protect these peas. I did have it over my garlic because they were digging up my garlic, the squirrels were. So we're going to cover. And now I'm going to go back and I'm actually going to spray, well, not spray, I'm going to sprinkle the top of these containers with more cayenne just in case they decide to come over here. And I've seen them try to move things. I've seen them try to move barriers in the past. So I'm going to sprinkle the top of the barriers of these containers just to kind of deter them, to ask them to please leave the area. Now, the problem with doing this right at planting is, guess what? The next day, we got a ton of rain. So I'm going to have to reapply. I'm actually going to have to go buy a new container. Sam's has a really huge 16-ounce container for like $7. I'm going to go get that. Here's another garlic I found that they had dug up. I decided I had a little bit of cayenne left. I'm going to treat this container as well. Put some of the garlic back in place, sprinkle it. And here's the finished result of this raised bed area with the peas and the garlic. I did go ahead and sprinkle the garlic in this bed as well. And so now we're going to move on to the rest of the peas. I've got the sugar ant to get planted. I've got this container that I put the sugar ant in. I think there's just 2 baby broccolis right now. I'm going to use the old spent branches from these hardy hibiscus for sugar ant, and then I put sugar ant here. Now, it is exactly 4.5, 5 days later, and I come out to check to see how the cayenne pepper worked. Well, the barriers definitely work, so no one has been digging underneath the barrier. I can't say if there's something under the soil. I can't see pulling stuff down, but as of right now, no one has moved these containers and dug up my peas. I have seen birds also try to dig up peas. So mostly it's the squirrels though giving me a hard time. The birds are pretty much cool. I feed them and I love them and they're so pretty. So I was looking to see for germination. It's only, day 4.5, 5. There was none. I really didn't expect it. Usually peas will take 7 to 14 days, but I thought pre-soaking might give me a little bit of a boost. I'll check them again in about 3 days. Hopefully by then, we're at that 7-ish day range and I will see something poking out of the soil because it's really getting late in the season. I plan to plant tomatoes where these peas are growing now. So I would really love if they could just hurry up, sprout, grow, and then I can put my tomatoes in. The timing and balancing act of rotating a bunch of crops when you have limited space is always a challenge. Look, my winter sown globe artichokes have germinated. So I had planted 3 seeds, I think, or 4, and I've only got 1 in each container. So that really worked out. All right, guys, I hope you're having a great gardening week. Talk to you soon.